So I did like Derik Queen going to New Orleans in a trade at number 13. And then we found out what the trade was. This was when I lost my mind. I think I blacked out. I'm so glad the NBA can still give us these. New Orleans trades up 10 spots so they can take Derik Queen. And they give up their unprotected 2026 first round pick swap that they have with Milwaukee, where they have the favorable, whatever the better pick is, they keep. They send that to Atlanta, who had to be deliriously happy. Like, we only have to move down 10 spots and we get an unprotected. This was one of the 5 dumbest trades of this decade. I was speechless. I just can't believe it. And who is it? It's our guy, Joe Dumars, who was so bad in the first half of the 2010s. I got so much column mileage from him. He finally got bounced from the Pistons, never got another job, and then moved into the NBA. And everybody in the NBA loved him, and he's a great guy by all accounts. And enough time passed that everybody forgot how bad of a GM he was down in the... And now he just traded away their unprotected 2026 pick house. They're in the West. What the fuck does he think's going to happen next year? Does he think they're going to be a 5 seed? What is he doing?
The hilarious thing, and this is what we get to relish going forward, is they're doing some kind of their version of 3D chess here, because I think Zion is moving on. I think the point of Zion leaving CAA, going over to Bill Duffy, there's a trade demand coming. Derik Queen fits a specific needs, plays a specific role for them. And they were just like, this is our plan. We have a plan. We're going to acquire him, and we can't, let the possibility they go that we don't get him for this role.
Okay, so you're saying they're trading their best player, which will inevitably make next year's team worse, and they're not going to have a pick after they trade that player. That makes sense to you?
And perceivably better drafts from what we understand.
You would anticipate that any kind of Zion trade would include picks. I mean, is that reasonable?
All right, so your only defense of that trade is the hypothetical that Zion might get traded, which, by the way, would also then make them worse and they wouldn't have their pick.
I said it's their version of 3D chess. It doesn't make any sense. It's just the Dumars world. It's Honestly, Dumars chess.
This is one of those that Adam Silver, like, you could have talked me into him vetoing, like they vetoed the Chris Paul trade. That's how bad that trade was. Kyle, would Atlanta have done that trade if it was a top 4 protected pick? I'm going to say yes. Top 4 protected. Yeah. Atlanta's like, we're still doing it. Yeah. Top 7 protected? I think they do that.
Probably.
Unprotected. I can't even imagine. They're showing all these war rooms. They should have shown the Hawks war room as guys are taking their shirts off and doing this and fucking popping champagne on each other. It was probably like this is the end
to
scene.
Magic City on the bus.
Yeah, it was like the mushroom scene, and this is the end where they're just like going nuts. And I can't even imagine how deliriously happy they were. And I really like where Atlanta was sitting before tonight. And now they have this New Orleans pick. They have a $25 million trade exception. They added Porzingis. Jalen Johnson's coming back. They got Dyson Daniels and Trae Young and Risa Shea and Okongwu. House, it's time to look at the conference odds.
Don't think that I haven't already, but please.
You already did? You cheated on me.
Of course.
What the hell, House? They're not in the top 6. 33-1 to win the East.
Yes. That's a ticket. That's in my portfolio.
I might be doing that later.
FanDuel Sportsbook. Yes, sir.
33-1.
You can,
what if they get DeMar DeRozan with that trade exception?
All they have to do is make it to the Eastern Conference. They don't have to win for that ticket to have value. You have an amazing hedge with that 33-1 sitting in your pocket. That team, I still can't imagine one stop that they make. Dyson Daniels is incredible. I can't name one other player. I mean, Jalen Johnson's plays both ways for sure as well, but
no, Johnson and Daniels as their 2 defenders, and then they'll be able to do some other stuff.
Kyle,
we were texting a lot about Derik Queen during the season because he brings some things to the table that I love. There's some defensive stuff with him that is about as bad as it gets, and he's going to be one of those guys where I do think he's a ceiling basement guy, but there's some really good offensive stuff. The problem is, some of the ways you would use him on offense are very similar to how, like, you would use, say, a Zion Williamson, who's also on
Just
the team.
hypothetically,
Picking no
the name
idea
out of
how
that.
those two guys would play together. It makes no sense at all.
No, they don't. They have mirroring issues for sure. But you're right. I mean, he's got a lot of things that you like. I mean, the connectivity of his passing. I was saying on the draft show that in that 18 feet to the rim area, he roasts other bigs with his foot speed, with his balance. He can contort. He just does some things that are odd for a player of his body type. He's not super explosive, but you mentioned the defensive stuff. I think a lot of that's controllable for him. I mean, if you're banking on him being your rim protector, then you should just have to take a breathalyzer before you even are qualified to run a team, because I that was so obvious. He doesn't have the size to be a rim protector. He's more of a help defender. And the big thing for him too is he has great hands. He does have mobile hips, even though he's not super fast. And he's a great defensive rebounder. It's more of a play to play. Is he going to mature to the point where he starts taking that personally? Because people have just said this about him relentlessly, and I know this stuff's gotten back to him about on the defensive glass or just on the glass period. It's like, oh, where's my man? Oh, he just ran by me because I didn't touch him and he got an easy basket. That happened over and over again. And just consistency of effort, because he can be, I think, at least a neutral defender. It's going to be up to him whether or not he takes that personally and cuts out the taking plays off and stuff like that.
This episode is presented by State Farm. It's no secret that great teams need great teammates. I've been saying this for years. And when it comes to insurance, State Farm is there to help you find the right coverage for your home, car, and more. Whether you need an in-person or a digital assist, they're ready when life hits you with a full-court press. Get a game plan that helps fit your life. Talk to State Farm today. State Farm with the assist. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability and eligibility vary by state. He triggers a lot of my boxes because I like the creativity on offense is really special. I don't like the work ethic part and the taking plays off and the defensive liability part. Sam Vecini said something on Russillo's pod about how he's just been playing against men for the last couple of years as a big guy and just is seasoned with, and that he thought he was actually a pretty good bet to be able to play faster than you think. To me, it's amazing. The Hawks fleeced them 2 summers in a row. 2 different front offices. The DeJounte Murray trade was a fleecing. And then this happens that is they might have the championship belt now of biggest mess of a team. I think this is it. I think giving away next year's first round pick and making it unprotected, I think they grabbed the belt.
Wow.
I think Sacramento was like, we just got it back. What do you mean? And they just took it back. Without blinking.
It's very...
Not to mention they're putting Jeremiah Fears and Jordan Poole together.
Oh, boy. I thought that the Wizards traded Jeremiah Poole away so that Fears would fit better. And then when they picked Fears, I was like, oh, I'm way off with my logic with this. I thought that's what they were doing, House.
And Trey Murphy's got to be like, why am I here? What is this team?
That's exactly right. This is the most confounding team. I was trying to come up with, I mean, even Charlotte feels like it has a point. It feels like it has a direction. Phoenix is like in this conversation. Got to keep Phoenix, they're still.
I guess Phoenix does have Phoenix. So I thought Sacramento took it back from Phoenix, but you're right. Phoenix still has it.
Sacramento made a good pick tonight when we get to it. We do.
Maybe Sacramento's righting the ship a little bit. But, I mean, Sacramento turning Fox and Halliburton into Zach LaVine, that's like an all-timer. Not to mention the Sabonis extension, all that stuff. But, yeah, you're right. I think so. Phoenix probably had it. And then New Orleans just took it. And New Orleans has had this belt. I mean, they're basically like the Russell Celtics with this belt. They've had it 9 different times over the course of since the mid-70s.
You have to remember how close the Pelicans were, though, to turning the corner. They've been close a couple times.
Yeah, it was like for 5 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean,
they had a playing game against LeBron, and then the moment was over.
They were on a pace for over 50 wins just a year ago.
So they got 40 first-round picks for Anthony Davis.
I get it. I'm just saying they
won the lottery.
The problem I have with Derik with my guy
Is
Queen.
this a DMV thing?
Yeah. It's just it's this. Maturity is still under development. And you can use your own eyeballs and look at his body type and reach a conclusion that maybe he hasn't maximized all that's available to him to turn himself into the kind of beast that he might be in terms of a physical specimen. It would be
but the
one
good
thing
news
if he
is
was
he's going to New Orleans where
this is
this
the
again.
point. That's the point.
there's so much healthy food there and clean living.
They just lived through a guy who had a maturity issue and maybe an issue where
Didn't take
he
care of
didn't
his body.
maximize. Yeah. So, and if Derik is not 18 years old, this is like, it would be one thing to say, yeah, he's pudgy. He's 18 or he's 19 or whatever. He's pushing up. He's closer to 21 than he is to 18.
So you don't think he's on the Versa climber at 5 a.m. like LeBron?
Here's the thing. He can do that. It's there. They have Versa climbers. They can get one down to New Orleans and he could become the beast that we're talking about. He could make that commitment. You know, he can get that challenge on the defensive end and become that guy. I hope he does. It was great to have Maryland viable for a basketball season here most recently, and it makes some noise in the tournament. I want the kid to succeed. It feels like it's up to the kid.
Joe Dumars was so bad in Detroit that I once wrote in a column that I wanted to sell Joe Dumars cap space cologne. You only have to spray it once and then you can't get away from the smell for 3 to 5 years. Remember when he was handing out all those terrible contracts? Everyone forgets how bad Joe Dumars was.
It's been 11 years, right?
Fortunately, he has Sean Marks and some others. I feel like we're almost like atrocious GM summit territory.
Oh, you're gonna fire it back up.
We're getting close. Yeah, we almost have enough teams again. House is giddy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the teams.
We got Vivek. We got Ishbia. We have New Orleans.
You got a lot of character voices to ride to as well. I think this is prime for.
I feel like
Chicago could be in the running.
Chicago, Jerry Reinsdorf never paid the luxury tax.
I will say on Queen one thing. One apologetic thing I would say is that considering where he was like a couple of years ago, he has made progress. He has worked on his body. Yeah. So I hope he continues that. And
by the way, I like the value at 13.
Oh yeah.
That pick was top 10. That pick was top 10 protected. I would have liked the trade, but it's unprotected in a draft that everybody is saying is awesome. It's insane. There's no counter argument. That is an insane thing to do that. This episode is brought to you by HubSpot. Growing a business, it can feel impossible, but HubSpot's customer platform, I promise, can help you. It's powered by a suite of AI tools called Breeze, so you can generate more leads, close more deals, and scale your service fast. With Breeze agents handling the busy work, customers are cutting sales cycles in half and saving hours on work each week. Best of all, you can see results in days, not months. Visit HubSpot.com/AI to learn more.